What is up, y'all? We are finally here for episode 5 of Potomac. I had football last night, which I wish I didn't watch it. Because if you watch football, you know what happened. It was a shit show. But if you're new here, hit subscribe. Do that real quick. It's free of charge. If you land on here and you haven't already subscribed, just do it. Just do it. But also thumbs up the video. That's free of charge. Do that right now because we out of the algorithm as the episode it already dropped last night and it's Monday. But yeah, do that. Help me out. Get in the comments, hype the video, and share the video as well. But let's get into this. This one was a tame episode, but it still was entertaining. Spark notes. I don't want to say spark notes. Summary for this episode. Wendy was looking passive aggressive. Angel is still on a downward spiral. Kay, in my opinion, I feel like Kay has moments where she's still doing the weird stuff, but then again, I saw a lot of Kay's moments where she was trying to engulf herself into it. And she had a point at the end, but we'll get to it. But yeah, let's go. All right, so we get back where we left off, which was the continuation of them trying to drop that bomb on Stacey about Chris Samuels. But Stacey was like to Ashley, who told you? And Ashley ends up stating that her friend Tatiana had told her at the Bloom Ball. And Stacey's like, I think Chris Samuels is a great dude. He's a great father. He's a great friend. Ashley's like, how did this friendship come to be? And I'm like, why does it matter to you? Like, why does it matter to you? But Stacey states that they both have a lot in common. They both just recently gotten divorced at the time. And Ashley's like, Chris been telling people that y'all been talking or whatever too. And Stacey says, wouldn't you say that if you was dating me? Stacey's funny. But Angel then says that Chris is not that type because she knows Chris because he's one of Bobby's mentors. And I'm like, Angel, from what she stated in her confessional, it doesn't seem like you really know him like that. She said he was a mentor because when Bobby was getting scouted in college, Chris was pretty much his mentor because at that time, Chris was already in the league. So I'm like, it doesn't seem like you know too much about him. But at this point, like, really, who cares? But Ashley then states that Stacey wants to call out Giselle, but you ain't talking about yourself. Talk about yourself. Ashley, worry about yourself, but you don't have anything going on. That's why you attach yourself to Stacey. Like, she attaches herself to Stacey because she don't have no storyline. She ain't got nothing going on, which is proof that Ashley is not needed for the show. Like, she is really not eating. She's not needed at all. But Stacey says, listen, you listen and you listen good. I'm back with my husband, AKA, like, let the Chris shit die. And you could tell Ashley was mad because she thought she had a moment and Stacey killed it. Because the Chris Samuels storyline, it's null and void at this point. It doesn't matter. But Wendy's in her confessionals talking about how Ashley's playing Captain Save-A-Ho for Giselle pretty much took that energy when they was talking about Giselle and that man and then brought it back to Stacey. And I'm like, why don't y'all continue to ask Giselle questions? Like, at that point, y'all should have kept doing it. But Giselle asked Stacey if she's met Monique, and she's like, no, I haven't met her yet. But Stacey states that they essentially want her to be somebody that, like, they just want her to be somebody else besides who she is. And they just can't accept the fact that she is who she is. But Angel says that she can relate. I said, okay, Angel. But they head back to the villas, and they're in somebody's villa. I can't remember which one it was. But they're in there singing happy birthday to Wendy with the cake. She got cookies and chips. And when I say they, Kay was also doing that. Like, if you watch Kay, you see her singing happy birthday to Wendy. She didn't have to do that. I feel like Kay is getting a bad rap. Yes, do I believe like Kay is definitely forcing the shit with Wendy? But Kay, if you really look at Kay in some of these scenes, yes, she looks miserable sometimes, but if you really look at her, she's actually trying to do something. Like, you can tell she has moments where she's trying to engage, like this one. She was actually doing something when she didn't have to. But Ashley wants to play a game. And Kay is like, she's tired, she's going to sleep. She says in her confessional, she was excited about the trip and whatnot, but she got Wendy's issue, no issue, which is, your issue. Kay, let's keep it real. Jazzy yelling at her face, and then now that she done found out that her friend is a catfish, and she's like, at this point, I need a break. We can start tomorrow. So Ashley, she then starts the game, and she asks Wendy if she's ever been attracted to a woman sexually. We all know Ashley is bisexual, so she's gonna always ask these type of questions. Wendy says yes, she was, to a stripper in DC who had braces. Tia tells us that she's always had a crush on Rachel Maddow. I'm like, random. But Ashley then asked Jazzy if she believes that Darius has been, or at least is no longer cheating and continuing to be faithful. Jazzy says currently she feels like he is. I said currently. But Wendy then asked Angel if she could KILL anybody in this group, who would it be? And Angel keeps it real. She says Giselle. Well, then again, I was expecting her to say Wendy, but Giselle, it makes sense. Because Giselle is the one that starts all the shit. Wendy's the one that catches the heat for it when it comes to Angel. So she actually chose the right person in the moment. But she was like, because I was nice to Giselle, and then she called my ass a catfish. And this was the most relaxed Angel seemed so far. Like, she seemed like she was like lighthearted, having fun. They were enjoying it. They could see it. And Giselle's like, I'm happy that she at least showed that she got a post. Like, you should have said me. Like, at that point. So she was happy that she was being honest for once. But Wendy, she then starts talking about how Angel needs to come over to the dark side now. Angel and Giselle, they switch seats and whatnot. They always having fun. It was nice to see this. And like, you could tell Angel was kind of like relaxing a little bit more. But we'll get to her in a minute. But Wendy then says that it's interesting how once Kay had left, Angel's not been cool. Which is true, though, because you can tell Angel... I thought at the beginning of the season when Angel's first 2 episodes, I thought Angel was going to be one that's going to come on here and have her own mind. But it's clear her mind goes with whoever she's in the room with at that time. But Wendy then states that Giselle then kicks them out because she's like, we got a long day tomorrow. Go to sleep. They're all happy that they all ended on a happy note, so we think. But Wendy and Angel, they hugged. Angel hugged Giselle as well. Everything seemed like it was all good. We'll get to it. But the next day, Angel and Kay, they're in the kitchen. In the morning, they're cheersing to having a better day. And Angel states that she is very disappointed in Giselle. I get it. I get why she would be mad because, like, bringing the picture up, like, at that point, it was pointless. At that point, it was mean. If you ask me, like I stated in the last recap, it just didn't hit the way it should have, or at least the way they were intending on it doing it. Because at that point, it just felt like a pileup. Because Wendy was already on Angel. Then you bring that shit out. And then not only that, it's childish. It's pointless. It's like, what is the purpose of you talking about her filtering her pictures? Who cares? People do that shit all the time. Like, at that point, it really didn't matter. But when you do it after Wendy's already on her ass, it just looked mean. But my thing with, like, you just was having fun with Giselle. At that point, why bring it back up at this point? Just move on at this point. But Kay then states that it was an incredible insult because you just had 2 kids and you're still breast pumping at this point. Me personally, I don't feel like Giselle was body shaming her. I feel like Giselle was just pointing out the fact that she is filtering her pictures. I don't think it has anything to do with the fact that Angel was thinner back then. But, that could play into it, too. That's the thing, too, that people, I feel like they don't realize, too. She might have been thinner back then, and then obviously she just had a baby, and she might still have baby weight on her. She might be trying to get the weight off or whatever. She's not going to look the same. Like, she's not going to look exactly the same. But then again, you can tell she has filtered those pictures. So at that point, it really doesn't matter. But to me, the way they was making it out to be, she didn't look completely different. Like, she didn't look like she does now, but she definitely, you can see there's certain things about her in those pictures that were filtered that is still her. But Giselle, she comes walking in as they're having this conversation and they're now silent. And Kay was like, we were just discussing you and not in the best way. Giselle's like, okay. Because at this point, Giselle was under the impression that everything was good because of the night before. But Kay excuses herself to let Angel and Giselle talk. Angel gets up to go get some towels because she's crying under them glasses. And Giselle's like, where's she going? But she's like, I'm going to get a towel. So Giselle says, I thought about you this morning talking to Angel. And she notices Angel's crying. And she's like, are you crying? And Angel's like, yeah, I am. And Giselle's like, I'm sorry. Like, I didn't want to hurt you. Do I think Giselle wanted to hurt her? No. Do I think Giselle was trying to add on? Yeah, for sure. But Angel says she's disappointed because she looked at Giselle as a big sister. I said, for what? You barely know Giselle. But she then states that how her experience now with the girls is fucked up. Whose fault is that, Angel? Like, whose fault is that? Like, you contributed to that, honestly. Like, you're not keeping the same energy. And she then states that she didn't expect it from Giselle being a mom. And I'm like, all of them minus Jazzy and Kay, at least to my knowledge, are moms. But Angel, she talks about how she was like a red carpet host prior, and like her appearance was a part of like her currency. Like, that's what really helped her in that hosting field. And she feels like Giselle did that to be mean. Giselle was like, no, I've been in your shoes. I know what it is. I get it. I was just asking because the beautiful woman that I'm seeing right here just was not the beautiful woman that I saw in the pictures. Basically, what she's stating is you just look completely different than you did in the pictures, which completely no, but different, yes. So Giselle, she had a point. It just, the way she brought it up, Tia's gonna clock it later on. We'll get to it. But Giselle apologizes yet again. Angel tilts her head like, bitch, please. And Giselle noticed it. But Angel then tells her that she appreciates the apology. Giselle asks for a hug and Angel denies it. And Giselle's like, okay. But Angel says in her confessionals that her husband, Bobby, loves the way that she looks and I have a husband. And I'm like, yeah, it's good. Like, that's all that matters. As long as you love your body, that's all that matters. But as long as your husband does too, again, that's all that matters. But the I have a husband, I'm like, keep that energy in real time. Like, it doesn't hit when you saying it in confessionals, but whenever you're in the scenes, you don't give them that energy. So like that's the thing with Angel. If Angel matched the energy that she has in confessionals in real time, she actually would be a likable housewife. But right now she's flopping right now. But Giselle then states that she wasn't body shaming her. The picture was just referencing her face, which is what I do see that. But Giselle then states she just wants the same energy from Angel. Like 1 minute she hugging me and the next minute she mad. True, true. But everybody's now out by the pool, and Giselle is pretty much letting them know I'm gonna feed y'all, and then we're gonna go out to do some excursions. So Ashley says, before that, I want to talk to Kay. So Giselle says, okay, well, before y'all go talk, let me state this. Angel was in there crying. She's talking to Kay. She's in there crying, and she was crying a lot, and it just caught me off guard. And Kay's like, yeah, she's upset. Giselle was like, I apologize. But Stacey's sitting there asking for champagne as they're having this conversation. Stacey's like, I'm ready to eat. I'm trying to drink. So Stacey then asks, like, what happened? Why is she crying? Giselle tells Kay and Ashley to go walk off and go talk, and she'll tell them what happened. So Kay and Ashley, they over there talking. And Kay was like, I was upset about the comments about Angel, which is why I didn't want to engage in that party, the after party, the night before. And like the Wendy disconnect bothers her, and Jazzy adding on top of it, like Kay feels like she got a lot of shit going on. But Tia's over there asking Giselle if Angel's coming to breakfast, because she's the only one that's not there at that point besides Wendy. Well, was Wendy there at that point? Wendy walked up. But Giselle then says, she says she was coming. But Stacey then states that she had thought that it was rude how they were all celebrating Wendy and Kay wasn't there. Giselle says, I mean, in Kay's defense, she was tired. I was trying to be a good host, just letting her go sleep if she wants to. And Wendy was like, I mean, Kay's slip is showing. She's proven herself to not really be my friend. Angel then comes in walking, and she goes and sits down next to Ashley and Kay. And Angel's catching them up on the conversation that she had with Giselle. So Angel says, like, I mean, I appreciated the apology, and Bobby was ready to charter a jet because he don't play about me. So Giselle, she's over there telling them that Angel was crying. And Tia was like, I mean, I thought we nipped that shit in the bud last night. Like, we had fun at the party. Like, we was having a ball, and everybody else thought the same thing. Tia said, I'm confused as to why we're still staying in that same bubble instead of moving on. And Wendy was like, I mean, I don't feel like it's there. Like, she said, I don't feel like it's our job to have to coddle the two people, Kay and Angel, who have like dark clouds around them, because we're here to have a good time. And Giselle agrees. But everybody's now ready to head out for the day. Giselle says she feels like it's important to not just visit these countries and whatnot. It's important to learn about the history, which I agree. Like that's how I am. When I go to a different place, I do want to go to something that is like super important in that area and then learn about why it's important. So I agree with her. But they head out to the Alexander Hamilton house, and on the way there, the driver is singing to them. And Wendy shades the fuck out of Ashley. Talk about some, you need to join an internship with him if he here. Because it's the truth. Like, Ashley cannot sing. Ashley literally wants to be Candace. That's all I'm going to state. Candace started singing, and then Ashley started singing. Like, come on. But they get to the house. The tour guide is showing them around and whatnot and informing them of everything that's going on in the house. And the tour guide starts talking about friendships and whatnot. And Wendy is sitting there shading Kay. Shading her. Being very passive aggressive, talking about how that's how friendships are. Some act like they love you, but they really hate you and will stab you in the back and shoot you in the face. While that's true, she's not lying. And to a certain degree, it could apply to Kay. But I found it interesting how Wendy just said, like, it's that negative energy that Kay and Angel have, like that cloud over them. Why do we have to keep coddling them when we're trying to have fun? Yet you sitting here being passive aggressive and shading Kay in a moment where she's not being negative. Kay was not being negative. Like, Kay was taking it in. She was talking to everybody. She was even talking to Stacey. But here you go, Wendy. But Kay, she's catching it. She's like, she need to stop that passive aggression. It's like, speak on the shit. Like, if you're going to talk about it and you're going to have some aggression, speak on that shit. Or don't say anything at all. I'm like, exactly. Because she was just bitching about the negativity. But Tia, she then asked Angel how she's feeling today. And she's like, I mean, I'm feeling good. Today's a new day. Tia says, I mean, you just had a baby and whatnot. We've all had one. And Jazzy then states, but you was literally sitting at the table stating that you understood where Giselle was coming from and you saw it. So they showed a flashback, and Tia was like, yeah, I thought it, but I wouldn't have said it. She said that in that moment. And then Tia then states too, in the moment with Angel, I wouldn't have done it in that way. I would have pulled her to the side. And I'm like, yeah, that's the way you do it. If you had questions and you genuinely had questions where you didn't want to intend to hurt her or embarrass her, that's what you would have did. Giselle wanted to embarrass her. That's why she did what she did. But Ashley's on the phone with Dean. Do not give a fuck about anything Ashley got going on, honestly. Like, all of her scenes, you're not going to hear me talking too much about them. But Angel, she's talking about Bobby. And I'm glad Giselle clocked it later on because I was noticing it. Like, Angel, which is good. I mean, it's good that her and Bobby have such a good relationship and a good marriage to where they are so much in love with each other and want to talk about each other. But she talks about Bobby and being a wag. That's literally her personality. That's literally what it is. But she's talking about that Jazzy then states, like, you were so bubbly last night, but when you were with Kay, you're not, like, you don't have that same energy when you're with Kay. And Angel was like, I mean, last night I was annoyed, and you would know that if you knew me a little bit better. I was like, you was annoyed? And then Jazzy said the same thing I was. Like, you was sitting there high-fiving us, and that was you annoyed? I was like, and she was like, hell yeah. Angel said, hell yeah, I was annoyed. I was like, Angel, what's going on? But Jazzy says in her confessional, who did you talk to get upset after that? And they show a flashback of Angel 5 minutes after they broke to go back home, go back to sleep. She went to go in there with Kay, and Kay sitting there talking about how it's a whole lot of bitter energy going on right now. And to watch the behavior of the ladies, I can't be fake acting like I actually care to be around y'all, and it's so amazing when I'm annoyed. And the Angel says, exactly, I'm good on everybody but you. 5 minutes after she just had a good time with them girls. I'm like, I don't get it. But Giselle, she gets them all back together and states we're going to go back to the houses to go have lunch. So they head back to the CGC, which is the Curly Girl Collective, which is Wendy, Stacey, and Jazzy's villa. So Ashley, needing to fit in, states that her, Giselle, and Tia's is called the Pussy Pink Palace. But they sit down. Wendy talks about how she found it interesting how Ashley diverted that energy from talking about Giselle's business to Stacey to divert from Giselle actually talking about her business. So Kay said Kay was being nice. Again, talking to Stacey, asking Stacey, can you give me that popcorn? Because it's about to get good. Stacey was caught off guard. You can see it over Stacey's face, like, oh, you actually asked me something? And she's like, here, take it. So Ashley then says to Stacey that you started pointing fingers at Giselle. And Stacey's like y'all do to me all the time. I said, exactly. But Ashley says, but you be lying. You don't, Ashley. You always lying. But Stacey says, so has Giselle at this point, because clearly she has a man. I'm like, she wasn't lying about that, Stacey. Like, she just didn't tell y'all. Like, she just omitted it. Like, she ain't tell y'all because, A, y'all don't ask. Like, if y'all would have asked her, maybe she would have. Who knows if Giselle would have or not. But y'all didn't ask her, so she couldn't lie about it. But Giselle says, no, it's not a lie. You lied about Chris Samuels. Stacey says, what do you mean by that? Wendy's like, no, we're not doing this. Y'all doing it again. So she said, we're going to stay on this. What's his name? Sean Springs. We're going to stay on him. So Wendy then states that she loves seeing Giselle in the hot seat. So at this point, she wants to apply that pressure. So Giselle states that she realizes she needs to get serious about her future in a man because her dad had told her before he passed that she needs to find one that fits like a shoe, that's very comfortable. So they asked, is Sean that one? Is he the one fitting like a shoe? And Giselle's like, I mean, he's comfortable. So Wendy asks if they've had sex. Giselle makes a face like, why the fuck are you asking me that? But she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. They have, clearly. But they all start laughing. But Wendy then asks if he's met the girls. Like, she's like, I'm going to ask you this question. This is going to tell me everything. Has he met the girls? Giselle says, I ain't talking no more, which means he met somebody. And Giselle confirms that he met Grace. And Grace is like, he's checking off the boxes. He's age appropriate. As we all know, the last dude that Giselle was talking to, no, ma'am. That was not, it made no sense for Giselle. But Wendy then talks about how Giselle's her friend and whatnot. Talking about somebody to know Giselle, she's got her heart, she protects her heart. I'm like, that's her friend now? That quick. Giselle was taken aback too. And it just proves like you can see how happy Wendy is to be friends with Giselle. Like, but Wendy's talking about how happy she is for Giselle. I mean, it was a nice moment though. Even though I'm making that face, it was a nice moment to see. But Giselle's in her confessional like, that's nice of Wendy to actually care about my well-being. And she was like, I mean, I guess we are friends now. But they then start eating. And Angel starts talking about Bobby again. Him sending her $5,000 to buy her some stuff. And Giselle is reading my mind, like I said. And Giselle was like, Angel, we trying to get to know you. I mean, all you talking about is Bobby, which it is true. But Giselle then asked if Tia travels a lot with her husband. And she was like, no. But they start talking about how Tia and her husband had met. And she talks about how she was shopping in London and he had pretty much told her like that jacket looked good on you, and that's how they met. But Wendy then asked, was there any pushback with her being Nigerian and how she didn't marry a Nigerian? Because it's a big thing in their culture to marry within their culture. So Tia was like, yeah, it was. And she was like, how she was naive thinking just because they both were black that there wouldn't be many cultural differences in their lives, which, I mean, it's true. Like when you sit and think about that, some people are naive like that and think that just because we're all black, there aren't some differences in how we do things, which is true. But Tia then talks about how her kids be like saying like, bro, when they talking to her, whereas in Nigeria, that shit wouldn't fly. They'd have been like, you've been around too many Americans at that point. Whereas Rob don't really care about that shit when Tia does. But Giselle then talks about how like this is nice and whatever going on, but we got 10 minutes. We got to get back on that bus. We got some other shit to do. So they get on the party bus and there's a stripper pole there. Kay, again, is having fun. She's not just being miserable. She's having fun. Ashley is being Ashley. But Giselle then states that Jazzy getting married, like, we're going to be having a stripper pole. We're going to be some slutty strippers. So Wendy gets on the bus feeling sick. Me personally, I don't know how sick she really is. I feel like watching how she was acting, something about it just didn't give genuine sickness. Somebody on Twitter cracked me up, though. They said she probably done found out about that indictment. I said, y'all are crazy. But they arrived to a shop, and Wendy's in her confessionals. Speaking of the indictment, Shade and Angel talking about what you get from a flea market with $5,000. I said, now, Wendy, you the last person to be pocket watching right now, considering what you got going on. But Wendy goes and sits down because she ain't feeling good. And inside, we got Angel pretty much telling Tia, Ashley, and Stacey how she had texted Bobby the word sex, and he like, we gonna make a baby. So Stacey's like, I wonder what would happen if I texted, is his name Timo or Timu, her husband. What would happen if I texted him the same thing? Like, what would he say? So Giselle's over there checking in on Wendy as she starts sending that text, and he's responding, and they see the bubbles, and everybody's sitting over there looking, and Stacey's excited. Oh my God, here we go. He said, you want sex? And they all start laughing, and they tell her to send her a pic of her boobs, so she takes a picture, and the picture of Stacey. Stacey ain't got no sex appeal. Stacey is a beautiful woman, but she don't have sex appeal. Like, y'all know how you can see somebody that is very attractive, but just lacks sex appeal? That's Stacey. And she texted him sex with me. And she looked so, the picture was so funny to me. But he responds talking about something, I think you got the wrong number. And their reactions, I said, oh shit. But Stacey said she thinks that he's joking. I said, is he? But Wendy goes with the producer to go sit in some AC because Giselle was like, can she go sit in the car? So Ashley comes and tells Giselle about what just happened with the text. And Giselle is laughing when because Stacey comes running up on them as they're laughing. And she's like, stop talking about me. But she then tells them, like, we just don't talk like that. And Tia was like, now you do. And Stacey's like, yeah, now we do. And I thought it was cute. I liked it. So Kay was like, I mean, essentially, he just wasn't used to it because you're rekindling it. Look at Kay. She's trying. I feel like people are not giving her the effort. Yes, she might end up later on doing something, but I see her trying, and I feel like people aren't really giving her that credit because you just have to look. She's not just being completely miserable the whole time. But Stacey says that the lesson that she had learned from her divorce is that they weren't really prioritizing each other, which is what they needed to do, and they finally figured out that that's a necessity. It is. Like, when you have kids and stuff, yes, the kids are a priority, but so are y'all as you two without the kids. Like, you can't just be about the kids. But Giselle then tells them that Wendy's not feeling well, but they're going to go have a steel drum lesson. So they head on off to do it. Everybody's having fun. Wendy comes up to hit that drum just a little bit. But they get back to the villas, and Wendy is laying in her bed with makeup on and a dress. I said, is she really sick? But Giselle and Stacey, they come in there and check on her. They bring her some remedies and whatnot. The producers asked Giselle in her confessionals if she thinks that Wendy would have done the same thing to Kay. Y'all remember 2 years ago when they was on that trip, and Kay was needing some help. And it was like, do you think she would have did that with Kay when she was sick? Giselle starts laughing and says, we just going to move on, a.k.a. no. But they head off to dinner. And they have Mr. Sunshine come over there, and he brings them some Killer Bee drinks that they've been drinking already, and they can't get away from them. Apparently, they're strong. But Mr. Sunshine lets them know, too, that he's going to cook for them. And Ashley's like, not Ashley, Angel, she's like, I just want to know if I'm going to be on the menu again tonight. That's up to you, Angel. But Giselle then states, like, I mean, the night is young, like, anything can happen. But Tia then asks what Wendy is going to eat. In case, like, I mean, Wendy might not like this. So Giselle then segues that into Wendy being offended that Kay didn't stay for her birthday yesterday. I said, Wendy, why would you want Kay to be there when you know you and Kay already have that friction? Me personally, if I don't like somebody and I know they don't like me, I don't care for you to be around me like that, especially on my birthday. So why would I want you there when I know you don't want to be there? And I don't want you to be there either. So at this point, I'm like, why is Wendy obsessed? Why is she upset that Kay wasn't there? Like, did you want Kay to be there and be miserable and then bringing all that energy so you can sit and bitch about it? Kay removed herself and y'all had a good time. So what's the issue? I don't get it. And she, not only that, Kay did in fact sing you happy birthday. So she at least was there doing something. Like, I just don't get it. But Kay then states that she was tired and she was hurt for Angel. So Ashley then says that she felt like it was good for Angel to actually stay and have fun and like have a little light time. And T was like, yeah, I mean, we ended on a great note. Jazzy says, I mean, but then Angel told me that she didn't really have a great time last night. I said, that's true. And Giselle and Stacey's like, you didn't? Like, what? Like, what? But Angel's like, I mean, it was cool, but if I'm being honest, I was feeling a lot from the dinner and I slept on it. I said, here you go again with that slept on it, and then come up the next day talking. Jazzy says, so you woke up and decided that you was pissed. I said, exactly. And Angel says, yep. I said, do you not realize how you look? Like, what do you mean you had a good time, then you went to sleep and then you woke up mad? I don't get that. Were you drunk? I mean, I don't know. But Jazzy says, she says that, and Tia says, I mean, my thought was, if I'm heavily filtered, I wouldn't want somebody saying that doesn't look like me. So Jazzy says, I mean, I think that you filter yours. Talking about Tia. Tia says, I mean, I do. Jazzy says a lot, and I think you're doing it a little bit too much. I said, where is this energy coming from, Jazzy? I said, you doing a little bit too much. That's what's going on. She doing too much in the previews next week. Jazzy, you came on to this season actually making the fans want you more. Even though I feel like she probably still going to, I feel like she'll get a peach next season. A peach. I feel like she'll get whatever they get on this show. I feel like she will probably get main cast member role next season. We'll see if she does. If she continues to do too much, she might not. But I feel like she will. But you can tell here and next week, Jazzy is doing, this is her audition in her mind. And she's trying to do too much. Because you're doing too much on Tia. Tia's not even giving you that energy. So you really like you doing too much. But Kay thanks Giselle for telling her that Wendy was hurt because Wendy be acting so nonchalant, it didn't seem like they were really acknowledging each other the other day. So Kay then says to Jazzy, I was hurt when you made that comment when you already knew that me and Wendy already were in a fractured space. So Jazzy was like, I mean, how do you think I felt when you shared that intimate conversations that we had? True. Kay says, I mean, I just stated facts. Jazzy ends up asking, are you jealous? Kay says, girl. But Stacey and Giselle was like, I mean, what did Kay say? Like, at that point, what did she say? Jazzy wasn't even saying it. But Kay then says, I mean, I'm waiting on her to tell me because I don't know what I said. So Jazzy then states that Kay had lied, stating that Darius had 2 kids on her, which he didn't, which I'm like, Kay, was it not 2? I could have sworn it was 2. She's like, is it 1? I guess it's 1. So Kay then says that she adored Jazzy at first, but Jacqueline had told her that Jazzy had pretty much told Jacqueline that Kay is a snake. So Jazzy then states that she had regretted how she responded to Kay. However, she doesn't want that to negate how Kay had came at her. So Kay was like, I mean, I can be responsible if you say what I did. Like, I can't be responsible for something when I don't know what it was. So, and I'm like, that's true. So Jazzy then states, I mean, is that what you want me to do? Yeah. Everybody wants you to tell what she did because at this point, we don't know. So Jazzy gets in her confessionals and states that Kay said that to Jazzy, don't trust Wendy. I said, that's what you couldn't state last week. Jazzy, you're doing too much. You're doing too much and you're doing too little at this point because at that point, you should have said that. But that was the episode. Like I said, next week, Jazzy is screaming at Tia for what? I don't know, but we're going to see. But if you got this far and haven't already, give me this. If you're new and you haven't already, subscribe. Get in the comment. Let me know y'all's thoughts. Hype the video as well. And I will see y'all next Sunday. Let me see if we play late. No, we play at 4:25. Okay. I will see y'all next Sunday at 8 o'clock. We don't need to be playing late no more ever again this season. But I will see y'all then. Peace.